there was this issue with the people in Borbies, these cane cutters, who were arrested, taken into custody. They eventually were charged, and their photographs, their mugshots, they were without shirt, they were stripped. That is what it is alleged. And that allegation is somewhat supported because the mugshots released by the police have them half naked. In other words, the mugshot is there, they have no shirt. It is reported in Starbuck News that when they reached out to the commander, he said that that is part of the profiling. That is what he's alleged to have said. That is part of the profiling. When we went to work and we said, the commander is talking about profiling. Apparently, the commander does not know profiling has been deemed to be illegal. You can't profile people unconstitutionally illegal. And we noted too that they are in the habit of picking up people, taking their photographs, taking fingerprints, and all kind of things, releasing the names of persons who are suspected to be involved in criminal activity. Listen to this carefully. Releasing the names of persons who are suspected to be involved. I know the protocol, the media protocol, clearly states, well, they may have changed that now. This one I'm talking about is the one that was put together with the assistance of the British government and the Guyana Press Association, where it was made clear that you are not going to release, as the police should not release the names of persons who are suspected to be involved in any criminal activity. When they are charged and they are put before the court, then the name and other information is going to be released. But now they're releasing the names willy-nilly. The only exception to that thing used to be if the person is wanted and diligent efforts were made to apprehend that person, and it was clear that the person was evading arrest, then you would have issued a wanted bulletin under those circumstances. But you have to make effort first to get the person. And once those efforts fail, then you can go to this step to say that this person is wanted by the police. But not so long now, that is no longer the thing. Releases are made, wanted bulletins are issued for persons whose address and names are known, no effort made to contact those persons. And now persons are arrested and not charged, and persons are suspected to be involved in some crime, suspected, mind you, and their names and addresses are issued, everything. And, CC told me that it might be useful for us to let the public know what the Police Act, I think it's section 25 of the Police Act, says about taking photographs and taking fingerprints of persons who are lawfully held in custody. Fingerprints, photograph of persons lawfully held in custody. Let me get Mr. Conway to explain that to us. CC, have a go and try to educate the police, try to educate the members of the public what section 25, I'm going to put it up in a short while, but what section 25 of the Police Act says about that subject. Please go ahead.
Before I put it up, let me read it. I have the act before me. It says it shall be lawful for any member of the force to take and record for the purpose of identification any measurements, photographs, and fingerprint impressions of all persons who may from time to time be in lawful custody. And it goes on to say, providing that if such measurements, photographs, and fingerprints impressions are taken of a person who has not previously been convicted for any criminal offense, or such person is discharged or acquitted by a court, all records relating to such measurements, photographs, and fingerprints impression shall forthwith be destroyed or handed over to such person. And section 2 saying, any person who shall refuse to submit to the taking of recording of his measurements, photographs, and fingerprints impression shall be taken before a magistrate, after which who, on being satisfied that such person is in lawful custody, shall make such order as he thinks fit, authorizing any member of the force to take the measurements, photographs, and fingerprints impression of such person. And it's saying, for the purpose of this section, a person shall be deemed to be in lawful custody when he is lawfully deemed at any police station in connection with the commission of any crime or offense within the meaning of section 2 of the Prevention of Crimes Act. What this act is saying, that you can take photographs, measurements, photographs, and fingerprint impression of persons who are lawfully in custody in relation to section 2 of the Prevention of Crimes Act. The procedure, as I know it, when you're investigating matter in relation to these crimes, and not traffic matters, in relation to crimes under the Prevention of Crimes Act, that you can take you take measurements, you take fingerprints, you take photographs. I know during the course of the day, I think form, I can't remember the form number. You write up the form and you put it in your case jacket. And when the person is charged, if the person is not charged, you give them back it or you destroy them. If the person is charged and placed before the court and is convicted, you send those forms to the Criminal Records Office so that when a person apply for a police clearance or as the case may be, they would search the records and say, yes, this one has 3 conviction or 4 conviction or 5 conviction, or there's no trace. But many times those forms are not sent to Criminal Records Office. So a man might have 5 or 6 conviction, and lo and behold, he applied for police clearance and they say there is no trace. So, and even if when a man is charged before the court, the police will also apply to the Criminal Records Office for his, what we call a conviction report form. So that when the magistrate convict him, you ask, say, does he have any conviction, previous conviction, and you will tender that document. So it's part of the recording under when you're investigating matter, you take those photographs, you take those measurements. But if the person isn't charged, you have to destroy them or hand them over back to the person. And you not to publicize them across the social media because the person is arrested, and you publicize them across the social media that the person has been arrested, and then the person isn't charged. As you said earlier, when the person is charged, then you release the name. But here's it, they're releasing this thing, and Borbis is the chief sinner. The traffic ranks and the patrol ranks, they're working with cell phone. Since they stop somebody, click, they take the cell phone, and I know they send it to where it's ever. They're not using body cameras anymore. The body cameras not working. It's happening in Georgetown. It happened in traffic offenses, and this thing is when you're doing criminal investigation. You take the measurements, you take the photographs, you take the fingerprint impression, and if the person is not charged, you have to destroy those documents or you have to hand them over to the person. But we gone haywire and we doing things to the contrary.
Yeah, so and the thing about it, CC, I'm sure you're gonna agree with me. The problem is a lot of these people in positions, senior positions, people in other positions of importance, they don't know these things. They're not. Again, we talk about training. We talk about training. How can you just, as you said, taking people's picture for some traffic offense and all that? How can you do that? That can never be lawful. That can never be constitutional. The law is clear. And what Mr. Conway explained in section 25 of the Police Act, chapter 601. I thought I had it here, but he's not here. It is clear under what circumstances measurements, they call it, fingerprints and photographs can be taken. And as Mr. Conway rightly said, during the course of the investigation, if the person is not charged, you have to give the person back. You have to destroy it. The law says that you can't keep those things for no future reference. You cannot. The law does. It is illegal. The law does not permit that. And it's the same thing, something similar with the recent release of those vehicles, the number, and the name of the registered owner. Imagine a vehicle is found violating the speed limit. We spoke about it last week on this new road. All right. It would appear as though they have cameras. So you manage to get the license plate. You manage to get the time, the time. And they are publishing the name of the registered owner of those vehicles. And in many cases, because they have companies that they publish, the registered owner is not the driver. The registered owner is not the driver. And the law provides for a process. The Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act is clear. In a case like that, you have to serve a notice of identity on the registered owner of the vehicle. And then he is compelled by law to provide the name and address and other information of the person who would have been driving the vehicle at that particular time. So unless you change the law, that is what happens. In New York, you get a speeding ticket or a ticket for running the traffic light or speeding, especially in certain zones. The ticket is sent to the name, to the address of the registered owner. The ticket is sent. But because they cannot confirm who was driving the vehicle at the time, no point is deducted or added to the person's driver's license. So the registered owner has a responsibility because the law accommodates that. So if your vehicle run through a traffic light in New York, they send the picture, they send the ticket, and you are to pay by a particular time. And as I indicated, we said before too, a traffic ticket is a conditional summon. You can go and you can contest it. The date's supposed to be there. So you can go and contest the traffic ticket to say that are wrong or something like that. But you cannot penalize the registered owner, as in the case where they're doing, they're publishing the name of the registered owner without verifying who was driving the vehicle at that time. So these are some of the problems, infringement of persons' rights. And because of what transpired in Barbados with those sugar rock workers, I saw the Guyana Human Rights Association wrote a very scathing letter condemning the police for this act, and they say it's a violation of a person's constitutional right to privacy and all of that. Because the people say they have to strip. Now, what is the purpose? Persons that are arrested, they were protesting. You're alleging that they committed an act, including they say they committed the terrorism act, acts of terrorism. All right, you arrest them. Nothing is wrong if they're behaving or breaking the law. But what is the reason for stripping them and having them in custody, and then taking out their photograph with them half naked? So all those photographs that they published, nobody wore any shirt. And don't tell me it's because they were arrested like that. Don't tell me. The commander says profiling. So all of these things are wrong. And all of these things, if you're going to talk about police reform, if you're going to want cooperation from people to assist you in solving crime and making the law easier to enforce, these things are going to mitigate against you. When people see these things, people are outraged. A lot of people are fearful of speaking because they're going to be victimized. But the Human Rights Association, the world is seeing that because the people wrote a scathing letter published sometime last week, I think it was. So I really can't understand what is going on in this organization called the Guyana Police Force, which we both served for all of these years. And we noted that all of these atrocities have been being committed more frequently in the past 2 years or so, 2 to 3 years. And because the people are not made to answer for these things. People are not made to answer. People cover up for them. They are covering up. So, Mr. Conway, you want to say anything more on that particular issue before we move on?
Yeah, and then just getting back to those return that they posted, in terms of the persons that they caught speeding. One person 69 times, some person 50 something times. Not one of them was prosecuted. And they're not doing deeper analysis. They're saying that the cameras will replace boots on the ground. Coming out of their officers' conference, they said the president said so. that the cameras would replace boots on the ground. But they're not doing deep analysis. They give us all the figures about the speeding, talking about and the registered owner of those vehicles, and not one report after 3 months of a minor, a damage, a serious or a fatal accident on that roadway that they be monitoring. Not one they reported a minor, a damage, a serious, and a. So they need to have their focus elsewhere. Then they need to focus holistically, not only on speeding. And to repeat what you're saying, right? They're violating people's human rights. The commander said they're profiling and they're profiling, strip people to the bare shorts, and then plaster the photographs across the social media for us people and sue. And I tell people start take them in hand and sue them. That is nonsense must stop. This illegality must stop. And if they want to build public confidence in the police force, they have to find ways and means of trying to get people to have public confidence. If you're profiling, you don't get confidence. That's why they can't solve crime, because in Borbis, because they get people with ears who ain't hearing, people with eyes who ain't seeing, people with tongues who ain't speaking, people with nose who ain't smelling. So nobody ain't coming to the police and say they hear this and they see this, and as the case may be, because of the actions of the police, there is very, very little public confidence in the police force, and it's because of the police their actions that is causing this thing to them. They can't solve crime because people ain't coming forward. Well, they usually come forward and tell the police because the people going to hear that it's convinced. So the confidentiality gone through the window. The confidentiality is like the RAS report.